Today we're relocating an alternator. So I've been running this ICT mid-mount passenger side alternator bracket for a long time now, and honestly I really like it. I think it looks fantastic. It really keeps the alternator tucked away, and in my opinion it's the perfect solution if you're really only running an alternator and no other accessories, or if you just have maybe power steering but no AC. You could run this on the passenger side nice and low, and then your power steering nice and low on the driver's side. So this I can highly recommend if that works for your setup. But my setup is changing and I can no longer run my alternator here. So now I need to move it over to the driver's side. So because ICT did so good before, I decided to go with another one of their kits for my car. This is the 551705 driver's side alternator kit. So like the other kit, the parts look to be well made. I've been impressed with the quality of the other ones. And again, these are just very thick aluminum pieces. I've been quite impressed with their strength. And, you know, obviously this is a different design because it's on a different side, but we'll run you through the components here. So we got 3 long, basically socket head bolts here, 1 medium and 1 short. I'm not going to give you the specific lengths, I'll just reference them by their general size. Got a couple of these nuts here, a variety of sized spacers, and I've got them in size order and paired up when there's 2 of the same size. A regular bolt, which I believe will be used for the alternator itself because it looks similar to the one I currently have. You have the back part of the bracket, the middle part of the bracket, which is what the turnbuckle attaches to, and the front face of the bracket, which has your nice ICT machined logo in it. Sponsor me, ICT. Now for my application, I actually machined just a teeny little bit off of this. You really shouldn't need to, but for my specific car, because I'm running air ride and I have wacky upper control arms, there's just a teeny bit of a risk of them kissing ever so slightly. So basically, I've just machined this little bevel right there just to guarantee that it has the right amount of clearance when I air the car all the way out. But let's get to installing this thing. So for step 1, you're going to need the rear bracket, which is the one without the logo on it, and the shortest of the socket head bolts here. And you want to insert that guy right there. I invested in a set of these and it was one of the best things I ever did. So this is a 5/16 hex on a socket, and it makes my life so much easier. And just so you guys can see what I was meaning about the clearance right there, the car's not fully aired out right now, and on this side it just has that little bit of risk of perhaps contact. I think it would have missed, but I just gave it that little bit of extra on the belt sander just to be safe. So for step 2, we need 2 of these long guys. We need the matched set of the longest spacers, and we need the matched set of these little guys here. So it's the only doubles of the spacers. And basically, just showing you here, so we got our long spacers, we have this little middle bracket here, we got our short spacers, we got our front bracket, and obviously these bolts go through all of that. 1 and 2, and I flipped it over. Then we get our short spacers on like that, and then we get this guy on like that, and then our long spacers on like that. So you should end up with a funky looking thing like that. And I just got those started threading in, and it should look something roughly like this. So I just have those nipped up. They're not lent on all the way, just to make sure that these front 2 mounts are able to line up when I go to put the alternator there. Because if I cranked them down and these things didn't align, I'd have to loosen them back up. Now we're going to need our turnbuckle, our medium-sized bolt, and one of these nuts, and this spacer. So the bolt goes in through the front, then the spacer, the turnbuckle sits in the gap between these 2, and then the nut goes behind this. Like that. Now for the next step, I need an alternator, so I have to steal this from here. Well, that was more farting around than I cared to admit, but we have an alternator. So for the last step, we have 2 connections we're trying to make, and for the top of the alternator, we just need this bolt and the thinnest spacer, and for the bottom of the alternator, we need our last long bolt, the last nut, and the last spacer. Definitely needed both hands for that, but as you can see, bolt goes in through the front, through the alternator, through the spacer, through the back bracket, and into the nut. And same with the top connection. So the bolt goes through the back of the turnbuckle, a little spacer, and then threads into the top of the alternator. And there it is. So while it's not as tucked away and hidden as the old bracket was, it is still unobtrusive. It doesn't get up and in the way, because normally these high mounts would put it right about there, which is just this big honking thing right in front of my beautiful intake manifold. So this tucks it low out to the side, and it actually is a really cool look. So got to get myself a longer belt, because obviously it sits significantly farther out away from the pulleys. So I'll have to measure up and get a new belt for this, and obviously then tighten it up using the turnbuckle here. That's how you do your tightness. See, cool design. Way easier actually than the other one, credit where it's due. That one was super simple and low profile, but I did have to basically use a crowbar to kind of get pressure on the alternator and give enough tension on the belt and then nip it up at the bottom. This is a much more elegant solution. I can basically just adjust the tension in and then use these lock nuts here, and it's done. So, high five ICT. I'm gonna nip up all these bolts now and go get me a belt. So if you've been considering trying to find a way to mount your alternator on the driver's side of your car, I'd say ICT has a pretty good solution. So appreciate you following along on this video. Hopefully it was helpful. Maybe it helps you make a decision on a bracket you were looking at or something like that. And of course, as always, if you like this and you want to see more in the future, please do subscribe. We've got tons more videos of the Belle coming out. This is just part one. There's a reason I'm moving the alternator to the other side, and that is because on the passenger side, we're now putting an AC compressor with the gorgeous matched bracket, which you may have seen a sneak preview of in the box over there. So please do hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell as well. That way you get notified when the next video comes out and you can see the progress. I also forgot to mention I need to extend the battery cables and things so that they reach across to the other side of the motor. But that's boring, and I'm not going to show you guys that because you know how to do that. So catch you on the next one.